So I allegedly live in Nashville. I haven't seen Nashville in weeks. When's the last time you saw Nashville?
I was there last night. It was, man, I'm excited about Chiefs being open on Broadway. Eric Church is a good friend, and Jill and I went up to be a part of that celebration. And so Nashville's changing and change. I mean, people are everywhere there. It's a crowded place, but a lot happening, it seems.
Yeah.
For those that live there. But we like going to Nashville, but it was a late night for us, and I don't like those.
So we were here last year, year one. It's in the books. Everyone knows what happened. Yeah. I have no clue what's going to happen this fall. If you know, I'd love you to tell me. But I do know it feels a little bit more relaxed maybe than it did last year. But that's me. How do you feel in year two?
Yeah, I definitely, for me, I'm more at ease with and comfortable, I would say, with where we're headed. And I was a little, I've said this a lot of places, and I don't want this to sound as negative toward anyone, because ultimately everything falls in my lap, and I own that. But it just, the chemistry was not exactly the way I wanted it to be. And that doesn't mean people are good or bad or anything. It was I've kind of in my mind got the band back together a little bit, and there's just a comfort level with that for me, and getting the offense back to the terminology that I'm very comfortable with. Also brings some of that, and then DJ Durkin's energy has really, and he's so detailed. He and Charles Kelly have brought a chemistry over there that, and we were really good on defense at times last year. Ron's one of the best game day callers I've been with, and but that energy that they've brought has made me feel more at peace too. So, I don't know that means any more in the win column or not. I don't know. We're still a little short on the roster in my mind. Of where we need to be. We're headed in the right direction for sure. But I've loved the attitude and the energy and the passion that they brought to spring practice, and the players have really responded well to that.
Let's say you're midway through a season. I don't know when you started to feel whatever you felt last year, but let's say you're in a season, and it could be a Tuesday practice, it could be third quarter of a game, whatever it is. You just realize, I do not have something like chemistry where I want it to be on this team. You certainly can't address it wholesale that week.
Right.
But what is that realization like? And then you try and hold it together, and you try and get to the finish line as best you can. But how much can you do in the moment versus how much you say December, January, let's go? Yeah,
it's that's truthfully the first time I've gone through something that I felt some of that. And I'm not sure I know how to properly address it immediately. Because we had good men and good people in the building, and you want to treat people right, and that was difficult, and it was hard. And I'm not saying that we were what we were last year, and I don't know that it produces any more wins or not. Obviously, we should have beat Alabama, I think, but the level that we played at, or lack thereof, in some games was just concerning to me. I didn't think the expectation of how we prepared to compete every single game, just didn't feel like, and look, that's not just on coaches, that's the team's got to own that too, the leadership of the team. And so trying to figure all of that out was challenging for sure.
How accountable do you feel like your building is? Because when you're talking about it not all being on one group, it's on the collective. Well, that means coaches got to suck it up and bite the bullet and look themselves in the mirror. It means players do. It means everyone does. You feel like you got the accountability you need in the building?
It's definitely trending the right direction. We when I came back in January after the bowl game, I think I have to first look at myself, and I need to be a better listener. And so I set the culture council down, the 12 guys that the team has elected And I said, I'm going to take a step back, and I want you guys to come up with the standard you want for this team. Now, I'm not saying I'll agree with all of it. But maybe I'm too old school. Maybe some of my thinking needs to change. And we're in a new day and era in college football, and so I want you guys to sit in a room and come up. And I mean, when I say a standard, I want what a locker should look like, to what is on time for us, what the whole deal, training table. What do you want from the training table? Because, maybe me getting frustrated that somebody's not there I want them there 3 times a day, or all right, if you don't want that, if that's not the standard, just everything. And boy, they presented it to me, and then not only do you present me the standard, but what does the accountability look like if somebody chooses not to meet the standard? I mean, what does that look like? Because if we're just going to put the standards down and not be accountable, they're really worthless. And boy, they had a great presentation. I agreed with almost every single thing. They convinced me to change a little bit in some areas, and then we presented it to the whole team and said, hey, speak now or forever hold your peace. But this is what we're saying the standards are, and now it's player-led, and the accountability is player-led. And we're at a pretty good percentage of the standard being met. We're batting 100 on holding them accountable if they don't, and I think that's life. And so I'm really pleased with where that's trending.
A lot of new head coaches, if I look at them, I'll say, boy, what a time to be a new head coach. So much is changing about the sport, and you got thrown in the middle of it. And I think that's accurate, but at the same time, what about guys like you who have been around a while? And so you may have gotten used to a generation, and then things change, and they're in the process of changing as we speak. I have no clue what 2027 will even look like. Right. How much of, not your core philosophy, those things normally stay the same, but maybe they don't, but how much have you had to really, really redefine about the parts of you that maybe 15 years ago you thought would never have to change?
Yeah. I think it's probably easier on a first-time head coach that hasn't done it. But, the guys that have done it a while, in our conversations, we're all battling the same internal battles of, most of us got into coaching for a transformative work in not only the lives of our young men, the lives of our staff, and the life of our program for all the fans, which does hopefully look like winning. And the challenge I have is I don't want to start feeling like it's transactional. And that's the battle. And it really can steal your joy. So my wife has made me promise that 2024, there is no more complaining about the new college football world.
None. Zero.
To her, anyway, she don't want to hear it. And when I say I'm not against some of the things that I think players should have access to be blessed with financial things because of all of that our sport produces. I'm for that. The lack of structure drives me crazy. And it's just managing an 85-man roster right now, which that's for us that have done it, man, it was pretty easy to manage your 85-man roster. Now I have no idea how to do it. And I don't think anyone does, because it's going to change again here in a minute, April the 15th, and the portal opens again, and what's going to happen? And it's just, I don't know. I really feel like one of my strong suits was always building a culture that ultimately was going to win. And I guess the scary thing to me is, does my way still work? Doing it that way, and I've been the first to say I would love to continue to build this program through high school recruiting. And we kind of proved that in 24. We stayed strong to it. We didn't sign many portal kids at all. Now, we signed a really good class, and you'll see them at practice today. I think they're all very gifted. Do they stay with us and allow us to, build a program? And does our culture win them over to stay in that? And those are all the things that keep you up at night, that you just kind of wonder, does your way still work? And can it still be transformative and not just transactional? So don't know if I answered your question. It's just it's a lot of challenges.
We were with Mac Brown up in North Carolina last week. And granted, he walks in fresh off a coach's meeting, so he had a lot to say.
Yeah.
But he said, I think one of the faults, if we could look in the rearview mirror, is people who have some answers stepped back when things started to change. And all we did when we stepped back is we let the wrong people put the hands on the wheel. He said, I think one of the biggest things I feel right now is a willingness for folks who always probably should have had their hands on the wheel to roll their sleeves up, get folks who don't need to be in the way out of the way, and maybe get the thing righted, which is a multifaceted statement, and it's not an overnight thing, but you get to a vantage point that we don't get. You get in meetings that we don't get to be in and have conversations we don't get to be privy to. No one's crazy about how things are right now. When you look out in the future, is there something you see on the horizon, or is it just is what it is?
I have no clue. And I ask that question often. Everybody will, in the administrative world will give you the answer. We feel like something's got to change. Well, we sure hope so. But no one has really said, here is the answer. It's like when we went to D.C. to meet with, all of the legislation there, and everybody sits in a room and we look at each other, and it's not that they're not trying, but they're looking at us. Or what is the answer? I don't know that any of us really have the exact answer that's going to please everyone, and I don't know that you can reverse some of the things, but we do have to find a way to get some structure around it, in my opinion, whether it's bringing the collectives in-house and saying this is like the NFL has done, and there's a collective bargaining structure, particularly for, the biggest struggle, I think, for most of us coaches that are older, particularly is the locker room, where you can have guys that can get a collective deal that is a lot more than the starter and junior and senior, and that's challenging and that's difficult, and man, when you're out recruiting and they're trying, and man, it's just very challenging when there's so many players involved in it, and you want to get the players for Auburn University that are the best players. And there's a lot of challenges that come with that.
When you guys wrapped your bowl game, you start looking ahead towards next year. You started talking about the quarterback competition for the next year. And now we're at spring, and you've sort of, correct me if I'm wrong here because I'm not on the beat every day, but you've talked about Pate and Thorne, and you've said that's QB1 right there. Like that's the guy who is in that driver's seat for now. The phrasing sounded a little bit different to me from post-bowl game to now. So tell me if anything changed behind the scenes, what changed, and then what have you seen from him, and how does his role change with the rest of the changes that you've made in the offense?
Yeah, he's had his best. The last 2 weeks he's been really, really solid and impressive. He is in the driver's seat. I don't think it's prudent of me to say today that it's totally his, because I want Hank and Holden and even Walker to continue to try to compete for it. But I do think it's going to be hard to probably unseat him at least for the start of the year, and then it's his to do with what he can. Hopefully we have better pieces around him that enable him to have a better year. I mean, the guy was pretty dang good at Michigan State when he had 2 NFL receivers, and hopefully we can put better pieces around him and a system that maybe he's more comfortable with. He loves what we're doing right now, and I think he's excelling at it. We got to continue to get more players around him, but I've been really pleased with this spring. But Hank and Holden have had really good springs too. Walker is incredibly talented, but he's just a high school senior, and he's learning. And DJ Durkin's throwing a lot at him, but I love everything about him and his leadership quality. But Peyton's had a really solid spring and is definitely in that driver's seat.
So I was walking down the hallway. You guys were walking into a team meeting, and I'm asking folks, "Hey, who's that? Who's that? Who's that?" And every one of them I keep pointing out from an impressive, physical standpoint. I keep hearing, "Oh, that's a freshman.
Yeah.
Oh, he's 17. Oh, he's about to be 18." How many of these guys, as much as you can say in spring, are going to play meaningful football for you this year?
More than I desire, but they're going to have to, and I do think they're really talented kids. But are they ready to step into the SEC and play? Maybe not, but they're going to have to, and we'll see how they do. I mean, the Cam Colemans of the world, he's been really impressive in spring, but Amaris Williams and Waller at defensive ends are going to have to play some. They're going to give us some minutes for sure. Some inside guys, the DBs, I think, are talented, the young ones. But some of them are going to have to play for sure. And heck, our kicker, Towns, he's, we got a good kicker coming back. He hadn't practiced this spring because he's got an injury, but Towns has got a leg that's off the charts now.
You've had different kinds of teams. You've had some that are veteran, senior laden. You've had sometimes, maybe not quite like now, but like now, where you've known in spring, we're going to go as far as some of these true freshmen or first-year starters can carry us. When you start training a team's mentality in spring and you start making sure it's hammered into your coaches' heads in spring, that's the way it's got to be. How much different of a lift is it when you know you're counting on younger guys as opposed to returning starters, kind of a player-led team already?
Yeah.
How different a lift is that? How different a mentality is that as a coach?
I think we needed that here, really. I think we needed to kind of hit the restart button with, some guys that were maybe fresher to Auburn than some and didn't have set ways of doing things. And I love the way we've kind of set this accountability with this young class, and I'm anxious to see what they do. So I do think that is something we kind of needed here. And I do believe, though, we all know how everybody wants it now, and I do too, but I'm also realistic, and I think we can build something special here again. Auburn's done it before. I think you can do it, but what I do think everybody has to understand, especially those young freshmen, is failure is a myth. If handled right, it's just really not accurate. It's a bad way to look at things. And so I've really tried this whole spring to explain to them the process to success, the cycle of success is you get tested, you fail, you learn, you improve, and you re-enter. And that's how you handle failure. And we're going to fail some. You're going to fail some. I probably call more bad plays than I call good ones over my career. That doesn't. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 were a failure? No. But it's just the success, the cycle of success is always, test, fail, learn, improve, re-enter. And so we've been drilling that hard for them because as well as I, as soon as you're going to go build up Cam Coleman, I build up Cam Coleman, and as soon as he doesn't perform on a game to that level, all the voices in the social media world will tell him how awful he was. That's the wrong voice to listen to. You need to listen to this voice: test, failed, learn, improve, re-enter. So that's our approach with this talented 24 class.
You mentioned that April 15th date, which everyone already hates because it's tax day, and now all of a sudden it's portal day as well. So God bless every one of you guys. How weird is it in the new age? I'll kind of get you out of here on this. How weird is it when an old school perspective was you pretty much know who your team is in the spring? How weird is it to know there is an exit door and an entry door that's after spring ball? The next thing you do is break fall camp, and your team could, in some ways, fundamentally alter. And then copy paste that for everyone. Like, how different is that?
It's incredibly uncomfortable and different, and it's not what I was used to, and I think I've got to embrace it. I was talking to Drinkowitz last night, and I think he's done a great job of embracing it. And I've got to become more like that and just say, you know what, I can't change it, so I've got to embrace it. It's uncomfortable for me to recruit a person for 24 hours. It really is. That's, I'd like to have the year and a half where I really think I know who I'm getting, but that's not the way it will be come April the 15th. We're gonna have some exit here, I'm sure, and we'll be looking to try to add some. So I've got to embrace it.
You got a lot on your plate. We appreciate you welcoming us.
Thank you, buddy.
Hugh Freeze.
Yep.